Hello, everyone. Happy Shochu'sday. Christopher and Steven coming to you live from Tokyo, Japan. This is episode number 59 of Shochu'sday.
Cheers.
I have a cup of Rainforest Alliance certified instant coffee from the convenience store. Because I'm not at home. I'm not in Tokyo today.
So we're not actually coming from Tokyo.
Did I say Tokyo? I probably said Tokyo.
You did? Yeah.
I'm a jackass.
Is that your first cup of coffee?
It is, and I just cracked it, and it is not very good.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Convenience store coffee in Kagoshima might not be the best morning pick-me-up.
It's not recommended, necessarily.
Yeah. Couple of great coffee shops in Tenmonkan. The problem is most of them open later. That's the weird thing in Japan, right? The coffee shops open late. You do have your Starbucks is open at 7, 8. Convenience stores are 24 hours, but it's pretty rare that you've got like let's call it a third wave coffee shop, like post Starbucks, single origin source their beans kind of place that is actually open early. Unlike in New York City where everything's open at like 6 or 7.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I know that Tabby, which is near this hotel, opens at 8, so I suppose I could have gone over there.
Yeah, but then it would take
Soldier, I'm not sure.
Would have taken you 45 minutes to get your pour over at Tabby, though. It's a great place, but the coffee takes a while. I remember one time
They pour that slow.
Yeah. I remember I was running for the Shinkansen once, and I was like, oh, I'll go to Tabby and get a cappuccino. And I barely made my train.
Yeah, no, probably not the wisest choice if you're even remotely pressed for time. Just go to this kombini and get your machine-made coffee.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like this, but I actually, when I go to the kombini, I like cold coffee, and I would rather just get the cold canned coffee, like one of the black ones, than get the convenience store iced coffee. Because you can recycle that aluminum can. You got a screw cap, so you're not going to spill it.
Yeah.
If you're moving around with luggage and you got your roller bag and your cup of coffee with this flimsy little plastic lid on it, half the time some of that coffee ends up on my sleeve or on my shoes. So I go with the can.
Yeah. You turned lightly Gargamel there for a second. I don't know what that is, and I don't know if there's anything you can do about it, but canned coffee. I'm not into it. I that stuff is thin. It's too thin to me.
Yeah. I get the Boss Black. That's my go-to.
Boss.
And I would get the Craft Boss Black, but it comes in a PET bottle.
Okay, sorry. Now you're super Gargamel. It's getting worse. Yeah.
How did I do this last time? I think I muted myself.
I don't know. Maya. No, not yet. Maya is saying, what about Voila Coffee? I guess that's the newish one. Maybe that's. I'll give her she's over on Facebook. Maya says, what about Voila Coffee? And I don't know if I've been there, but I think it's one of the relatively new places that might be mostly. Oh, that's better. Mostly standing.
Yep.
In there, kind of like Soldier.
Maybe Maya can tell us about Voila. Is that the place that's based up in Kokubu? Is that the one near?
It is.
Nakamura?
It is. That's right. And they have a new.
Tenmonkan.
They have a new one a couple of blocks from here.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Coffee Tuesday. Right?
That's right.
Cafe Tuesday. Sorry, everybody.
I would like to just to let everybody know, Steven is way more of a coffee aficionado than I am. I refuse to get too nerdy about coffee because it is so essential for my happiness at the beginning of the day, and I don't want to allow all of these annoying things to get in the way of that.
Well, and I seem to have a wider spectrum of coffee enjoyment because I'll go with the canned coffee, which is pretty much the lowest form of coffee.
And you drink iced coffee, and I don't like iced coffee. Yeah, I'm pretty.
I do.
I
enjoy the fruitiness of it. Now, I did make my first cocktail in a long time. I was credited with Mizu's Mizu Q early on, which is their cucumber in Mizu Shochu and soda, which is a pretty delicious drink. I did come up with that for them a long time ago, but then I recently came up with my second one, which we've named Coda. So coffee soda so Japanese love to smash words together, so I'm calling it Coda because I am a Led Zeppelin fan, and that was one of their last albums. But it's 50-50 soda and coffee, a fruity type coffee, something that goes well with ice, and a shot of Mugi Hoka, which is a roasted barley shochu from Tensei Distillery in Kagoshima. And apropos of today's theme, which is Kagoshima shochu.
Kagoshima, yeah, I mean, but we've only been talking about Kagoshima coffee. So I guess, we sort of need to switch gears. Before we do that, real quick, our friend Anagman over on YouTube said, love the Gin podcast. Very much appreciate that. The Gin podcast dropped last Monday. Go to japandistill.com to listen to that. Yeah, not yesterday. Right. Not this week. Was it yesterday or was it a week before? It was yesterday.
It was this week. Yeah.
Oh, crikey. I don't know which way is up.
We haven't even begun social media promotion of that because Monday was a holiday in the States, right? It was Independence Day observed. So we haven't even done any social media. So thanks for listening to that Gin podcast. Glad you enjoyed it. It was fun. I've actually been drinking a lot of Gin Sonic since we recorded that.
Gin Sonics are good. If you want to hear more about Gin Sonic, then go listen to the Gin podcast, the Japanese Gin podcast, where we talk about all of the shochu makers and even some beyond shochu that are getting into this very new space, very citrusy space.
Yeah, that's become my new summer refresher. I've forgotten how much I like it. And you really do need the fruit when you make a gin and tonic or gin tonic. You really need that slice of lemon or lime to brighten it up. I'd often been skipping that, and recently I've been using it, and it's so much better. So
yeah,
need that twist in there.
That's why they force lime into tonic water in the States, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've got some booze news. I don't know. Do you have booze news?
Go for it.
My booze news. I just discovered this yesterday. Ichigo USA is offering a trip for two to Japan. You have to live in a 48 contiguous United States, but you can win a trip for two to Japan, including Tokyo and Kyushu, with a visit, I believe, to the distillery, to the Ichigo distillery. And that's you have to theme a cocktail. They're crowdsourcing cocktails.
Cocktail competition. Okay.
It's a cocktail competition, but it's for the public. It's not for bartenders necessarily. And it's you have to theme it around an Olympic event. So,
interesting. Okay, so Olympic theme.
Yeah, let me see if I can find their. I think it's Ichigo USA.
If you could drop that into the comments or something, if you can find a link to it.
What I'm going to do is share my screen here.
Or you could be all modern about it, sure.
Let's see here. How do I do that? Oh, here we go. Share screen. Select a window. Here we go. Allow.
A little more involved than Zoom. Okay, now I can see it. Win a trip to Japan.
Yeah, and then I guess you play the little video. With the Summer Olympics around the corner, we're giving away a week-long trip for two to Tokyo and Kyushu. To enter, show us your favorite Ichigo Saiten cocktail. So you got to use Saiten. Inspired by a summer sport. Giveaway ends July 15th. So you got a few days, you got about a week to get this done. And there's a link in their bio, and that's how you submit. So I think that's pretty cool.
It sounds like an amazing... Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that the timing of it will be after the Olympics. But I thought that was pretty cool. So how do I stop share? There we go.
That's great. Cool. Just a word to the wise for people out there trying to take some cocktail photography. You want to try and use natural light and backlight make your glass backlit. It tends to be the trendy thing to do in cocktail photography these days. Good cocktail photos are a currency. So
Yeah.
work at it. You know, don't think you can get it done right the first time. Think about props, but the lighting is really, really important to make those colors pop. Hopefully we get to hear from somebody raving about Kyushu and Oita in particular, and probably onsen trips and really good food and good shochu too. So that's pretty cool. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, no, I thought that was pretty cool. It reminds me of a few months ago when there was the Awamori time where you had to make a reel and you win a trip to Okinawa, and the reels that ended up, win place show were all really, really good.
Yeah, they were.
I'm really curious. Really curious what people are going to come up with for each Coast competition. If I was still in the States, you better believe I'd be whipping together my best Saiten cocktail, try to win that trip.
Jeez, Saiten cocktails. I mean, I don't know if you start from the sport. Do you start for the inspiration? Maybe you start from, Saiten's a slightly plus proof
Right.
barley shochu. So do you go with one of the more, it's almost like, and it's new too, so it's one of the really physical new sports like rock climbing or something, bouldering competition. That
surfing,
you could
right?
theme it off of surfing, right? Full body sport.
Yeah, I just checked, and unfortunately, it's not available on Umami Mart because that would have been a convenient place to source a bottle if you can't get it locally. I don't know how wide the distribution is for Saiten at this point. Although Ichigo, I think, is with one of the larger distributors for that brand. So
for that brand, are they with Southern maybe?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the one that they're going wide with.
Okay. Yeah, they've got huge distribution potentially if somebody is paying attention.
Yeah. So if they don't, well, I guess it's probably too late. Unfortunately, like if you went and asked your local bottle shop to get Saiten, it might take them longer than the time to the competition to actually get it in stock. So you wouldn't have a lot of time to play with
your cocktail.
So, yeah, but
sure.
Yeah, if you've got Saiten locally, make a cocktail. Win a trip to Japan.
That's a hell of a payoff. Hats off to Ichigo for coming up with that and funding it. That's great. More booze news. It is July now, so I guess we can safely say we're in the middle of summer, and so therefore it is July, or summer shochu season, and awamori as well. Lots of blue bottles everywhere. The really pretty blue glass, and it seems like again we've got a few extra competitors this year, and some of them are there you go, thank you. Yep, there's the Shoro Miyazaki version, and it's interesting. Not everybody's fitting in the mold, not everybody's going low ABV. I saw that Yoshinaga Shuzo, the Yugen version, which is down kind of towards Ibuski, theirs is 30% ABV for their summer.
Really?
Summer Rihachi. Yeah.
I'd like to try that.
They do. I like them a lot, and that was a nice surprise. So I was able, as usual, I just tried whatever's new and whatever I haven't seen before. I tried the new. This is Kumamoto, but I tried the new Ike no Tsuyu sweet potato expression, which was really, really expressive. And but I have been dutifully trying a lot of the blue bottles, and I kind of enjoy it. I like the season. I like the brightness of it, and I like how they tend to be lower proof. They're almost never above 25% alcohol. So it's the type of thing that you can just enjoy over the rocks, or you just add a little water to it and sip it. It's really easy to sample a bunch of them and not be on your can. So it's nice to be in July again, even though it's oppressively sticky and hot here right now.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And that's why I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. Dummy.
Yeah, and I'm north of you right now, up in Fukuoka, and it's really hot and humid here as well. I went for a run the other day, which has been sort of my new stress relief, is to go for jogs. And it was overcast. So I was like, this will be a nice run. It was like 11
amateur.
It should be before it's too hot out. And I was doing really well. I set, I believe, the second or third fastest 1K and 2K and 2-mile times since I started tracking. And then I hit the 5th kilometer and I was done.
Yeah.
I was so slow in the last kilometer.
So do I pay at the table, or do I need to stand up and walk over to the register because I am out? I'm finished with this eatery.
I did run the full 5 kilometers, but normally what I'll do is I'll finish the 5K in the park and then I'll jog back to my apartment. There was no jogging back to my apartment. It was finish the 5K, make sure on my sports watch that it told me 5K's finished, and then log off, just shut down. Very, very slow walk back in the shade. Look for shade as I'm walking back.
Heat and the sun are no joke. They are oppressors.
Yeah. Well, the sun did come out during my shady run the other day, but yesterday I went and I did intervals, and that was actually easier because you run hard for 200 meters, walk for 100 meters, run for 200. So I did that yesterday. That was a little bit more tolerable. It was still really, really humid, but I
gotta be careful.
I'm gonna have to find indoor exercise for the summertime. It's my 3rd summer here. You'd think I'd know better by now. But
I think it's getting worse. Honestly, I think it's getting worse.
Yeah, I mean, I did 100 kilometers in 32-degree temperatures. Was that 94 degrees Fahrenheit last summer on my bicycle? So I can tolerate heat. It's having grown up in Florida. I was playing soccer in the summer in Florida, so sports and heat aren't necessarily the worst thing for me. I could definitely feel myself getting overheated, much worse than when I'm just cycling. That's easy. You stop riding, you find some shade, you sit for a while, you have a cold beverage. It's not really how running works.
If you had to make a Ichiko Saiten bicycle racing themed cocktail, what 8 ingredients come to mind?
Well, it would definitely have to have a wheel of some fruit, right? What's gonna be the handlebar, right? Gotta have some sort of stick in there as well. Maybe one of those bendy straws could be the handlebars. I'm thinking more about more about the
presentation.
Yeah, what would I do for Ichiko Saiten? Saiten's got so much grain on it. I might try to do like I wonder if you could do almost like a milk punch. So get some fruit, but use the milk to balance the grain. Do milk punches contain milk? I think they do.
I think they do. Don't quote me on that. But that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to do straight fruit with Saiten just because it's so grainy. Right? But I think you need something to cut through that. That's where I thought milk might work. But I don't really know. I mean, the sneaky thing to do is figure out how the cocktail bars in New York are using Saiten currently. I know. Well, who else? Well, we've got Bar Kumiko in Chicago's using Saiten, and so is Bar Goto in New York. So those are 2 bars.
There you go.
Check their social, see what they're doing, and then make your own original version of that.
Yeah, and then we did get a heads up from Mr. Heflick. Ichiko Saiten is available at Caskers in the U.S. for $32 a bottle. Thank you very much for that tip. So go grab yours if you can. Yeah, this is fun. I haven't opened that bottle of Saiten that is near my. Where did I put it? I reorganized everything. I actually don't know where it is, honestly. It's probably tucked away. It's one of the taller bottles, so it's probably on the lower shelf. I need to go smell it. But I think for a bicycle-themed cocktail, I like the fruit wheel, the wheel of some type of fruit in there, and I think I would try and bend it in that direction a little bit more. I think I would try and go citrus with the grain. I would try and then of course I think bubbles are going to be essential.
Oh yeah, sure.
So carbonation. I liked your milk idea, and it inspired me to start imagining yogurty interpretations, because sometimes that works well with barley, the graininess. So yeah, that could be fun. I mean, there's so many sports that could inspire something. Or you start from the spirit. You start from the very rich spirit that is Saiten, and see where that leads you. Do you go dairy like we're talking about, or do you go completely fruity? Do you go really super dry? That would be a lot of fun, I think, especially when the payoff is a trip to Japan.
Sure.
You noodle that one for a couple of days.
Yeah, I wonder if you think about bicycles, their frames are sometimes so colorful. So in some ways, having a really nice fruit color, a hot pink, a bright orange, a blue, something like that. If you can get that into the drink, then you've got a bicycle theme pretty easily. There's gonna be like 40 bicycle submissions now. Okay, let me.
Well, I will be disappointed if there's not one that is heavily spandex themed. since we're talking cycling,
the koozie is made of spandex.
There you go. It's in a koozie, and I don't know if there's a helmet or something, but there Chris Caldwell over on YouTube is saying, taking notes. The Calpico, yeah,
Calpico is definitely a way to go.
Yeah,
cool.
That's fun. I like it. I appreciate southernmost, the makers of that brand, for getting people's engines revved with this sort of thing. And in this type of trip, if you win this, it's going to be a life-altering experience. And I don't say those words lightly, but you and I have both, probably hundreds of years ago, been taken care of by the good people at southernmost down in Oita. We were shown around, and we don't work with that brand at all, but they showed us what they do, and it's like, well, you guys are serious about this, and your ethos for everything that happens at your various distilleries is pretty cool, especially for a company of your size. And you guys never fail. Yeah, that's a good one. You guys never fail to innovate, or at least try to keep your eye on what's coming next, and that's pretty cool for a large player. And then when large players start to put their money behind efforts to grow the category, that's even better. And of course, that makes our eyes light up immediately. So, anyways, if you're the one who gets pulled over here by them, it's going to be a hell of a time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you've never yet been to Kyushu, you're interested in shochu and awamori, that's incredible to have your first trip hosted by a shochu distillery. Like that, that would just be, you're talking about life changing, right? And
I can't.
They're good people for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to see who this involves. Hopefully they are very, very active on social so that we can follow their tracks and live vicariously through them. Yeah. A lot of fun. So anyways, that was not a paid promotion. Stephen was smart to put that up there.
Yeah, but you're right. We're fans of that company. Good people. So, I guess we should get on to the main topic. Do you want to talk about why you're in Kagoshima?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, we started to talk about it a little bit because I was talking about summer shochu, but the main topic is, of course, Kagoshima shochu. And I am here this time primarily. What ended up happening was, and I don't know if you pay attention on Twitter, you might have noticed that I was scrambling around Tokyo scrounging for a vaccination, and I failed. I whiffed. And it just so happened that Kagoshima National University was relatively quick with having their vaccine program up and running, and they were and I was able to get on there. I am a student at Kagoshima National University, for those who are unaware, and I was able to get the earliest possible, for me anyway, vaccination. So I flew down here kind of at a moment's notice, and I'm still here. I'm leaving this afternoon after this call and the next call. But that was the primary reason. Secondary, the nice knock-on effect is that I was able to have some sit-downs with my academic advisor and get a lot of work done. And then, of course, also, it was very nice because I was able to try all of the new bottles that have floated across the various bars through the various sales channels that are in Kagoshima right now. And it's been all right. Like I said, I drank a lot of the blue bottle stuff. I have had, and then a couple of really old things that just pop up. It's really important when you are in Kagoshima to pay attention to people who run bars. Follow their Instagram and make sure you're paying attention to their stories, because random old expressions just pop up. Somebody like I was at Yokaban when a regular walked in with a bottle. It was a jug, actually. It has a handle at the top. What the heck of Ohara? Yeah, and he's just like, here you go. He just gives it to Reina. And Reina was like, well, I guess everybody's getting a free drink. And so she starts pouring for everybody. And yeah, this bottle, nobody knows how old it is. It's probably older than I am. And that sort of stuff. So either if you luck out and you happen to be there when it opens, great, but that stuff always ends up on stories, so pay attention and then go track stuff down, because it'll disappear quick. So that's been fun. Yeah, that old bottle of Ohara. I had it Oyuari, and it was absolutely crazy. It was so rich. It was a little bit of angel share going up, but
sure. Yeah, I'm
really
sorry
good.
I couldn't make the trip down this weekend. I was hoping to make the trip, and then but I'm in driving school right now. As if you follow me on Twitter, you're aware. And I had my learner's permit exam all day Saturday. It was from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then I had to stick around and make my schedule because I passed my learner's permit tests. I then had to stick around for another hour and make my schedule for the next 2.5 weeks to try to get all this finished before August when I'm heading back to the States, because I would like to get my license as quickly as possible. And so I couldn't make the trip because I was in school with a bunch of 18-year-olds learning how to drive, which I've only been doing for 35 years.
Yeah, I know. I can't imagine. I cheated. I had a Korean driver's license, so I was able to do the exchange. And for those who are unaware, all it requires is a treaty. It's a government level thing, a treaty between the two countries involved, and then it's basically, oh, you have a license from country A. We have a treaty with them. Therefore, you are entitled to a license from our country. So it's really that simple. But Japan and the States haven't gotten there at that level. I think it's something like you have to. It's traffic safety issues and all sorts of things. You have to, as you can imagine, there's a bunch of red tape. So it's not a simple process.
Honestly, you look at highway fatalities and car crash statistics from the U.S. versus Japan, I would make us get licenses too. Go to school too, to be honest. I mean, and it's a very different philosophy to driving than what I learned growing up, and it's an incredible attention to safety and awareness of your surroundings, and pedestrians get priority and bicycles get priority. And if a pedestrian just starts to walk across the street, you're expected to be able to stop.
Oh yeah, and the laws are set up. Yep, that's how the laws work too.
At a light, if they're just jaywalking, you better be able to stop. So people are very,
it's your fault if you hit them.
Generally, So it's a different way of thinking, and also being able to practice driving a right-hand wheeled car as opposed to a left-hand wheeled car on the wrong side of the road. I'm grateful for having the time to do that rather than just, here's your license, go ahead, have fun.
It was fun at first. It's pretty easy to switch over in your head, or I found it to be pretty easy. But yeah, that's basically I had my license. I went and rented a car the next time I was in Kyushu, and it's been fun. Just just stay in the slow lane and get used to having the center line on your, just driving on the other side is fun.
Sure.
Trying to keep that in mind, remembering that
don't make wide left turns.
Right.
Or short right. That's the really,
Yeah, it's a very different experience when you have that much car to the left of you. It's a very different feeling. So it takes a little getting used to.
My driving teacher, when he realized I was experienced, he sort of took me off the reservation. He was like, "Oh, so you know how to do all this stuff, right? Oh, let's go do some advanced stuff. Do you know how to parallel park?" I was like, "Yeah, but I've never done it in a right-hand."
No, not from this side of the car.
Yeah. He was like, "All right, well, let's try it." So I did it, and he was like, "Oh, that was really good." And then he's like, "Can you do it the other way, since you're used to driving a left-hand car?" I was like, "Of course I can." So he gets me to turn the car around. I'm all backward, like driving on the wrong side of the road in the driving school parking lot. And then I back in the other way, and he's like, "Score! Wow, you could do that." I was like, "Yeah, I've been parallel parking for 35 years." And we actually have parallel parking in America.
Yeah, that's something you actually have to learn. I practice that incessantly. Maya made a good comment, and I do use because I drive. Well, I'm excited because now I'm not going to have to drive all the time when we're traveling together. You can take over since you seem to enjoy it more. But yes, hitting the wipers when you're trying to change, lane switch and whatever. I do that at least if I can make it an hour into the drive without having done that once. I feel it's a success because they're on the other side. That's something that's hard to retrain yourself on, in my experience.
My very first driving lesson, every single time I went to hit the blinker, I turned on the wipers, and then by the third day, I might do it once an hour. So I've gotten better. But no, that will be a constant.
It's so ingrained.
Challenge.
It is so ingrained. Yeah. If you're
really
if you're the type of person who likes to use your blinkers, and I would like. One thing that is similar to the States, at least driving in Japan, there's a lot of people who do not, which is frustrating, as you can imagine. Okay, well, this has turned into a weird-ass episode. Yeah, so anyways, just to finish up on the topic of Kagoshima Shochu, I found a great place that, Stephen, we're gonna have to go to down here. It's a relatively new place. It's called Penguin Sake Ten, and it's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure type of izakaya, interesting food, and they have a whole bunch of different, they have a great wine list, because I think the owner, or maybe he's the co-owner, and he's also one of the people who does a lot of the food prep. He, I believe, is a wine som, and then they have a really good shochu selection. They have a decent whiskey selection. And you just kind of go and start rifling through the cabinet. You just take stuff out, and everything has a price tag on it. You take it over to your seat, and then they're like, "Well, how do you want to drink that?" And it's nice. People are really friendly. Non-smoking, seems to be kid-friendly too, because they have a changing table near the toilet, so that's cool. But yeah, anyway, that was a nice discovery. It's always good to find new places, especially now that Yataimura has been closed for it's been closed for a while now.
Sure. All right, well, that's good to know. Always on the lookout for new places in Kagoshima. I guess just a little bit of a refresher for those listening. Kagoshima's famous, obviously, for satsuma shochu, or sweet potato shochu from Kagoshima, made with local sweet potatoes, and also kokuto shochu in the Amami Islands. Amami Islands are part of Kagoshima, so technically those 28 distilleries are also part of what's made in Kagoshima, and that's the kokuto sugar shochu, which we've talked about recently on the podcast. So both really, really nice styles, and it's good stuff. I mean, the most distilleries in any prefecture in Japan. What's the active number now?
107? I can't remember. I think it's 107 maybe. 107 distilleries in one prefecture that geographically, I can't remember. We tried to figure it out before. The size of what?
Rhode Island?
Maryland? Yeah. It might be. Yeah, it's not Maryland's too big. It's a pretty small place.
It is.
Yeah.
It's all mountains.
It is. It's mostly uninhabitable. Yeah, as is the majority of the country, to be perfectly fair. Oh, Maya corrected us. 113 is apparently the. We should have been asking her. We should have just pulled her into this conversation to ask that question. We should have a Maya corner, a Kagoshima corner, and Maya can chime in. Yeah, that was.
What am I doing here?
What am I doing here? Oh well, no, I'm physically here, but I'm offering up about as much value as this empty coffee cup.
Yep.
That's annoying. Okay, how about newly opened? Cool. I don't have any bottles with me because I sent them home. But I
actually opened something last night because I really, really wanted to drink Kagoshima Shochu in preparation for today's show. And I ended up opening this guy.
Oh, geez. Yep.
So, Yamato Zakura Takumi. This is where I work every year. This is ceramic pot aged, usually for 2 years. Very, very lightly filtered. I once had a bottle of this that I kept in a cold room, and there were just legless jellyfish floating in the bottle. Just this congealed oils.
The oils.
And yep, really, you can see. Look at the droplets in the neck, right?
Yeah, it's marbled.
It's marbled. That's all the oils from the shochu, and those oils are why you do this before you drink. Get those oils back into the shochu. It's an obviously beautiful label. We're gonna have a video coming out soon, actually, about how to make imo shochu at Yamato Zakura, and they just happen to be labeling these bottles that day, so you'll see how they apply these labels in that video.
Yeah, all by hand.
And yeah, all hand labeled. And it's only released once a year, 3,000 bottles only. And much like other limited brands, they're dated, and so this actually came from 2018. And I'd had it in a box, and I opened that box yesterday fortuitously, found it, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna drink that. So really, really nice. It's just so balanced. It's white koji, Kogane Sengan, and because of the 2 years in ceramic, it's really, really mellow, and light filtration gives it a really nice, rich mouthfeel. So huge fan of that drink. When people ask what's your favorite shochu, I usually don't say this brand because it's just so hard to find. It's like, oh, let me make you go chase this unicorn.
Yeah.
Instead, I have other brands that are easier to find that I usually will say is my favorite. But honestly, if I had to drink one shochu for the rest of my life, it would be this. This is actually, when I'm at Yamato Zakura, they don't pay me. I'm not an employee. But I get room and board and one of these to sip on for the 2 weeks that I'm there. So
nice.
Yeah, and I usually only drink this when I'm at the distillery. So, and I have a couple of bottles, and I was like, I'm going to open that. I'm going to treat myself to something nice. I passed my learner's permit this weekend. I'll treat myself.
Nice.
And yeah, so that was my newly opened. That's my most newly opened. I think I had another one that I wanted to share with you that I had opened before that. Well, I haven't. No, I don't think so. So you can still hear me, right? Because my headphones are using the microphone. Okay. And I have my back to the screen, which is great.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're definitely using your headphone mics.
Oh. Well, this one, I probably should save till next week, but since we're on the topic of Oita,
okay.
I just opened this week. This is the Oita Mugi Shochu blend. So all of the distilleries in Oita collaborated on a blend of Oita Shochu. And it's all barley shochu. Oita is known for 100% barley. Obviously, Sanwa Shirui, who we were talking about earlier, based in Oita, the biggest supplier in Oita, and Nikkaido is another big brand there. But I think what they did is they just said, everybody send what they like, and they just blended it. But I think they might have, in true Japanese fashion, it had to be equal. So it's basically, how many distilleries participated? Probably
30-something.
22 or is it
22?
30-something?
Oh,
so probably just they just divided everybody
added their percentage of whatever they wanted to send in, because it's just not well blended.
I was waiting for the verdict. Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
that's not surprising.
It's fine. I mean, I will finish the bottle, but it's when you've got such great blending being done at Ichigo or with Ichigo brands, you've got such incredible barley shochu out of Oita like Kanehachi or Taimei. Yatsushika makes great stuff. I was hoping for a little bit more, but I had a feeling. I was like, I bet they're not going to get the Ichigo Master Blender to
Not a whole lot of finesse going on there.
A little bit of spoonful from one distillery and a tankful from another distillery, right? They're just going to make it all, 7% of the distillate's going to be from each distillery, and just see what they get. Yeah, a little bit like. But what it did remind me of is when I've done some experiments where I start blending at home. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to finish these bottles. I'll just start blending and see what I come up with. I think this would go good with this. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't. I actually did an event with Nishuhan, that large distributor, where they were like, okay, this is a little bit sacrilege, but we want you to figure out some brand blends that go well together. I was like, oh geez. This could go really wrong, and we could offend some people here. But actually, it was all large makers, and the makers were like, "Cool, you're doing something new with it. Great. Tell us if you find something fun." So, I was blending sweet potato and kokuto, for instance, to make an all Kagoshima blend, and it took a long time to find something that was worth talking about. But I think I was tasked with finding 3 combinations, and there was a whole day where people would come up to the booth and be like, so this is a blended show, what does that mean? I'm like, well, we're doing weird shit. and people were like, okay, yeah, I'll try that, why not? None of it was exceptional, unfortunately. I'm not, that's really easy. Not really easy.
Yeah, I remember it wasn't my first trip to Ichigo, it was probably my 4th trip to Ichigo, and this is when I was doing my book research. And I was visiting them, and I wanted a deep dive into their blending technique. And they go, all right, we're going to take you to school. They sit me in a conference room with a bunch of different samples of their single distilled stuff, because everything that Ichigo sells to the market is blended, right? But they have all of these each of the different formulas or recipes based on what kind of koji, fermentation temperatures. It's always barley, right? But then all of these different considerations, whether it's vacuum or atmospheric distilled, how it's aged, all of these different considerations. They lined up a bunch of those in front of me. And then they took a blended sample and put that in front of me. And they said, okay, from those, make this. With no guidance. I wasn't even close.
Yeah, no. That's impossible.
Yeah. It was a very cool experience, though. So
I bet.
If you win the trip, say, I want to go to blending class.
Good advice.
And that'll be a curveball for them, but it was fun. So no, blending is not easy for shochu, that's for sure. So I'll just enjoy this. Maybe I'll blend it with something.
There you go. That's the logical conclusion to that conversation. Yeah, and okay, we do
interesting. Interesting, just sort of on blending. It actually comes from cocktails. In which I was listening to the Dave Wondrich and Noah Rothbaum podcast, Life Behind Bars, and they were talking about vodka cocktails. And a really good use for vodka is to use it to cut a very, very, very strongly flavored liqueur, like a digestif or an aperitif. And so you, like, I'm blanking on names right now, but you basically cut that with vodka, and then it's a much more drinkable thing. Right, still strong. But like maybe green chartreuse, right? Take green chartreuse, 1 part green chartreuse, 2 parts vodka. You've got something that's actually enjoyable when you sip on it. Because green chartreuse straight is just it's a kick in the mouth. Right? It's a fascinating drink, but it's not something you really want to drink a lot of. But anyway, that got me thinking. If you were to blend shochus, probably the way to do it is to go with something super light, like a Hakutake Shiro. with something super full bodied. It's almost like too unctuous. And then you that's the blend, because then you're just bringing down the punch of the more full bodied one. Anyway, that was just an idea I had when we were talking about blending.
Yeah, probably that's highly logical. So anybody out there thinking about their cocktail, keep that in mind. But don't put any vodka in there. All right, just
No.
you're not doing anybody any favors. Okay, so we gotta. Steven and I have to sign off because we have another call soon, and I need more coffee before this thing happens. Because we need to sound prepared, and we need to sound like we know what we're talking about. Which has not been the case for the last 45 minutes. So thank you for joining us. Anyways, if you are into podcasts, then make sure to go to japandistill.com and browse through the library, see if there's anything that suits your fancy or tickles your interest, and download it and let us know what you think. We will be back again next week with the 60th edition of Shochu'sday. And if you've been joining us from a country that is still in the middle of the drinking hours, we hope that you've been sipping on something fun, preferably shochu or awamori. If not, get out there, see if you can find it, and share what you find. Steven and I will also there will be another podcast coming up soon as well. If the current one is gin, what's next? Next one is Kastori Shochu, is that correct?
Kastori Shochu, that's right. That'll be in a week and a half, basically.
Okay. Yeah, so first go enjoy the gin.
A week from Monday. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I always get the timing wrong. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, and we'll be back again soon. Stay safe, stay happy, stay thirsty from both of us here in Japan. A very hearty and heartfelt kanpai.
Kanpai.